Okay, everybody, welcome back to Every Man Has a Story, and I've got my new friend here, Jerry, and Jerry just moved in to the complex here. And where did you come from, Jerry?
America, outside of D.C. in Virginia.
And how long have you been in the Philippines?
Well, February 21st we came here, so I'm 56, lived in America pretty much my whole life, and we came here. We've been trying to get here for a year and a half or so. The COVID stopped us, but I am married to a Filipino, so we were allowed to get over here. So we jumped through the hoops and got here in February.
A lot of hoops, though, right?
Definitely a lot of hoops. I mean, I've been planning this for a year and a half, 2 years or so, and it definitely changed a lot. I met my wife on a dating site, and I got her a K-1 visa to come to America, and we lived in America for 5 or 6 years. We've been married for 5 or 6 years, and went through all of that stuff, the K-1 visa, the green card, got her citizenship in America.
Wow.
So she's a citizen. She has a daughter also, so she has an 8-year-old daughter. She was 3 when she came to America. So we lived there. I really had no intention of ever coming to the Philippines, but I decided I didn't want to work for the next 10 years, so I sold my house and got ready to go.
Where was your house at? Where were you living?
It was in Virginia, Woodbridge, Virginia,
Okay.
20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. I grew up in that area, so, spent most of my life there. Was in the Navy for 5 years. I met a woman and married her in the Navy. That lasted about 20 years, and I came home one day and she had packed up her stuff and left.
Did you have children with her?
No children. She had a child before that, so I had a stepchild who's really kind of gone away since the divorce has been finalized. So,
and so here you are, a single guy in America, in Virginia, and you decided you wanted to meet somebody, get another relationship.
Yeah.
And you decided to go with a dating site route.
Right.
Now, did you just take any site, or you were on multiple sites, or how did you do this?
It's kind of, I didn't expect to do any of that. It kind of snuck up on me. I was divorced for about a year. I had went on 2 dates with people in America that I would have never, they probably didn't want to be with me either, but I definitely did not want to be with them. So I really was thinking I'd just be single the rest of my life. I was playing on my fantasy baseball team one day, and an ad popped up for dating Asians, and I said, well, that sounds interesting, I find Asian women attractive, so sure, I got on that site, and I put a profile.
Was it Date Asia or Philippine Cupid?
There were 2 of them that I did. Dating Asian. Dating Asian was one of the ones. I forget the other ones. The other one that I had, I think it was Pinoy Love, maybe something like that.
Were they paid sites?
They were both free at the time, and I got on them as a free member, put a profile there. I didn't have much success with them at that point. One of them had a paid option that had more things that you could do. You could message more, you could text more, you could call on the site. It was monitored also. And again, if we're going to talk about the sites, I'm a believer in the sites. I like the sites. I found my wife on the sites. I hear nothing. I've not seen one video from any blogger in the Philippines that's positive towards dating sites. I've not seen one that's everybody downgrades them. And you do have to navigate them.
Yeah.
The first couple of months that I looked at them, you could definitely tell that there were different entities there. You definitely have your cyber sex there. You have girls that are there that want to direct you to another channel to do that. Not what I was interested in. They have the Ghana Room boiler sites there that I found pretty easy to determine, and they are just scammers that you don't even know who they are. They'll put a picture up. They won't really read your profile. They won't talk directly to you. They'll just try to get you to direct to their sites also. So you have a portion of those that are on there. You do have, the scammers that are on there, the people that, instantly want to talk about getting money for the toothache or,
Yeah.
the mother that died and stuff like that. And again, I found those pretty easy to see. Pretty, they were right in front of you, not hard to see. Then you had people that were sincere on one level or another.
What percentage would you say are sincere?
I think it's probably 20.
20%?
Probably 20%. But if you take the numbers, again, the other videos, bloggers always say, come here, boots on the ground, things like this. And again, that's for those people that can get here, which is nobody over the last 13 months, right?
Or people that can only come for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. And
not
again,
enough time.
other people say, yeah, go to the mall, find a girl. I mean, you're really going to fall in love with somebody after 2 weeks that you met them in a mall? Maybe, okay, maybe, but probably not good odds at that. The websites have millions of girls there from all over the place. They're all over. And there are sincere people there. You have to weed through what is there to get to that, but they're not all out to scam you out of $100.
I met my girlfriend on one of the dating sites, and same thing, I had probably 5 or 6 that were scammers or just gold diggers, and then I got lucky and found someone who was a totally wonderful person.
Yeah.
But so how many women did you communicate with before you found your wife?
The first couple of months when I wasn't on the paid site, probably 5 or 6 that I thought might be entertaining. I did.
Were they contacting you or are you picking them?
Both. But again, the ones that were hitting on my picture or whatever, I definitely talked to them a little bit. I didn't know anything at this point. I never met a Filipino in America in my whole entire life. I mean, I've met Thai women and Chinese and Koreans and things like that, but that wasn't really where I was looking. I find Thai women extremely attractive. I think they're, but that's a Buddhist country, right? And, I don't want my wife worshiping any other fat man other than me. So I want her to be with me, and I didn't want to go that route. So I didn't have much success the first couple of months. So I got on the paid part of it. And again, everybody says don't do that. I mean, it was $80 for a year.
That's pretty cheap.
It's less than the 2 dates that I went on. You know what I mean? It's just, it wasn't a big deal at that point. And that opened up more communication avenues. There were 4 ladies at that point that I thought were interesting candidates and stuff. And luckily, I met mine. She was an OFW in Malaysia. Yeah. Her
that
story.
Means foreign worker. Explain
overseas Filipino worker. So
what was she doing over there?
She was a housemaid over there, and she was making $3,000 a year. Which sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
She literally left her family and her daughter and everybody at her mother's house, went to another country to work for $3,000 a year.
Did they pay for her flight?
They paid for her flight. I think back then they paid for her medical. But it was literally, she had 1 day off a year. Literally. She worked every day that she was there.
How long did she do that for?
She did it for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, the contract's usually 2 years, aren't they?
It is a 2-year contract.
That's a long time.
To be away from your family and for $3,000 a year.
But you need the money if you need the money.
Which is a lot of money in the Philippines, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 3-4 times what she could have made here doing those things. But she was incredibly nice. I got to know her a lot. Another part that you always hear is you can't really know anybody online. Well, I don't know how, you can't know anybody that you date for 3 months in a row, one Friday a week either. There's just no way. So somewhere you got to take a chance on somebody. And I found, talking to her, I got to know her more than I knew probably.
She was still out of the country, right? She was in Malaysia?
She was in Malaysia, so we talked every day. She kind of made lunch for the people there, and when she was in the kitchen making lunch, she turned her phone on, and we talked back and forth while we did that. So that was an hour and a half every day. We made questions. We talked about everything. I had what I find again, the men are the problem on these sites too, because there's categories of the men.
Yeah, there are. You're right.
You know, there's guys that are just,
Scumbags. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
they are. There are guys that are not sincere.
Yeah.
There are guys that are fulfilling fantasies. They don't mind sending $100 to some girl that they connect with a month just to get some fantasy that's my girlfriend.
Their pretend girlfriend. Yeah.
It is. There are people that are leading these girls on for years and years.
They have no intention of ever coming here.
And then there's scammers on the other side trying to get money the other side.
It's the internet. It's a dangerous place.
When I got serious about this, I made a list of what I wanted. I didn't want the life that I had before because the last 5 to 8 years of it was horrible. I didn't like it at all. I put my wife through college. I got her into computers. She became good at that. She got a great job. She made as much money as I did, and when that balance became equal, she's gone after 20 years after her kid is left, and things like that. And she was a domineering person, and so I made a list of what I wanted. I want to be the head of the household. I want to have that role. I'm a Christian, so that's important. We talked about politics. We talked about what our daily routine was going to be. I'm not a guy that goes out to the bar every weekends, and that's not going to be a part of my life. I have in mind what I want, and I wanted to make sure that fit the person that I was talking with. And I talked to Nelma. You've met my wife. And we talked for hours, hundreds of hours, about all of these things. I mean, everything, sex, everything how the house is going to be organized, what's going to happen. And we were pretty clear on how it's going to run. And that's kind of what she wanted too, And it just so happened that our thoughts and everything meshed, and we didn't, have any problems. I also know and found out what her personality was, what her morality was. She's sitting here taking care of people in her family that are taking advantage of her, and her mindset is, well, I can't do anything else. I can't have something here and not share it with these people, even though she knows, they're doing nothing to take care of their life. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe she won't roll me into a ditch when I'm dead or something.
But so, it's interesting about the conversation, because it sounds to me like you're having conversations that are so deep and cover everything that you would never even have on a regular date, somebody you met in America or anywhere. And so there's so many things that the two of you understand about each other before you've even met in person. And so how long did this go on, this online relationship?
It was absolutely clear, and again, we have fights now, like everybody, little squabbles, and a lot of times it comes back to that. Well, do you remember how this, and we both kind of can come back to that and say, yeah, that is what we wanted. That's how we do. 5 or 6 months while she was in Malaysia, that took place. We didn't meet. She ended her contract at that time and went home, and I then went to Bacolod. She's on this island. I went to Bacolod. We met there. I got a hotel for a couple of weeks. And the good thing was the chemistry was good. Because I know that's the one thing that you can find out that, maybe there is something there.
So it was 6 months before we actually met in person.
6 months. No, it was actually longer than that. It was probably about 7 or 8, because it was a couple of months after she got back by the time I arranged to go there.
And how much time did you have together?
2 weeks.
Wow, 2 weeks.
I know, 2 weeks. But the good thing is, again, all of the things were confirmed. They were.
So you weren't strangers when you met.
We weren't. I felt like I knew everything. I didn't even have to ask her questions about who she was. Yeah. You see this show, 90 Day Fiance?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And it's so fake sometimes. I mean, it's scripted.
It is fake. I've seen it.
I'm addicted to that show because I did it myself. But what they always try to get you to think is that, you go to America for 90 days and you decide if you're going to get married then.
Yeah.
No, this is a 10-month to a year-long process, even longer now with COVID. And if you're not communicating and finding out what's going on, well, you're not really doing your job.
Well, tell me about this getting her a visa and her daughter a visa. I heard that's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Like, where did you have to go? Did you go to the embassy, or how did you sort that all out?
Part of it.
And how much was it?
You have to come and meet the person. Okay, you go through the State Department, the USCID. I forget the department, but and there's a bunch of forms that you have to fill out. I did get somebody to help me with that. A company called Rapid Visa. You can do it online. There's plenty. It's easy. It's just a matter of filling out all the forms correctly.
How much did they charge you?
It was $500 for Rapid Visa. The total cost, again, you have to include everything.
Yeah.
Part of it is you have to meet in person. So, you
have to meet the girl.
You have to meet in person. You have to prove to American government that you have a relationship and you've met in person.
What, photographs and
Photographs, airplane tickets, hotel rooms. I had all that stuff. So we knew before we met, because I had told her that if we get along, I'm going to probably propose to you, and we're going to take this to the next step. So part of that was going to here, and that cost. I brought $5,000 with me, and the plane ticket was $1,100 or something like that. And so I didn't spend all that, but I did give her a chunk of that money to get her stuff, because you have to get birth certificates and IDs and all this stuff, and a lot of this
passport, all that.
Yeah, she had some of it because she's an overseas worker, but not everything. So we met. We decided that it's real. There was chemistry, instant chemistry with us. Which was the main worry. You never know if you're actually going to like her, but everything was great. Her daughter hated me at the beginning.
How old was she when you met her?
She was 3, and she had never seen a big fat American guy, so she was petrified of me, and she didn't know what was going on. Barely speak at 3 years old and stuff. But so that's part of it. The Rapid Visa was $500. The airplane tickets and getting here, proof of that. The initial green card, the K1, I think I had to do 2 because she has a child, 3-year-old, and I was bringing her over. There was a $530 fee and a $300 fee for the application. So now we're up into $800 there. They have to go to Manila to get a physical done. That was like $150 for the 2 of them to do that. Had to get some vaccinations for Kea, the daughter, and stuff. So that's part of the process. Had to fly her into Manila and stay there. She stayed there for a week during the interview, got the approval, got the visa, and then flew the 2 of them here. So that's a couple more $1,000. So we're in about 10 grand at this point, just by me coming here, all of that stuff.
Wow.
That's the K1 process. Then you go to America. You do have to get married within that 90 days.
So how long did you wait before you got married?
2 weeks. We didn't really wait around.
Did you have like a big marriage? Or
No.
Just went to
Justice of the peace, 1 witness, and that was it. I had a big wedding the first time, and that was a disaster. And there was probably 3 friends I might have invited. My sisters live in Florida, so they're not
And
there.
so she's living in America with you in your house. And how did that go the first, say, month or so?
I love some of the stories I'll have. I'll tell you one of them. The second day she's there, yes, love of my life. She's great. She makes me breakfast. I haven't had breakfast made for me in 15 years, other than a restaurant or something. So she wakes up, I'm still asleep, she's making me breakfast. And I wake up to this grinding noise. And I don't know what this is. I'm like, what's going on here? And I go out and go into my kitchen, and my beautiful new bride fiance is making me breakfast, but the toaster's right next to the garbage disposal switch. So she had turned the garbage disposal on, thinking it turned the toaster on, and it was just sitting there grinding away. So things like that, cute little things like that, they were great. Like I said, Kea didn't warm up to me for a week or 10 days. I had to play with her a couple of times, buy her a stuffed animal, and I think when I made cookies with her, I think that broke the ice the most. And from that part, we've been thick as thieves, kind of a 3-unit family that, I love. The other part, again, you hear all the time, don't bring them to America, don't marry one with a child. That was definitely part of my list that I made. It was okay with me. As long as it wasn't a baby. I didn't want a baby, but one child can add some security to a relationship.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, a lot of these women at Filipinas, they really want a child. And if she's already got a child, that box is ticked.
Yep.
And
I don't want one.
Yeah,
I don't want a new one.
Yeah.
So that fit perfect too, into the plans. It fit for her. It works for her.
So you're 5 years in America, the three of you.
Right.
And your daughter, she doesn't even speak Tagalog or Visayas.
Yes.
She speaks nothing but English.
Yes.
You never know she's from the Philippines.
Yes, she speaks great English.
Yeah.
That's probably the one mistake that I made, as it turns out. But I had never thought that I was coming back here. I never even imagined moving to the Philippines. Wasn't a thought in my mind at all. So my idea was to make her have proper English, good English, not sound like a foreigner, so she could, have better employment opportunities, better things in America. In hindsight, I would have had her learn some along the way.
Probably she wouldn't pick that up from her mother anyway,
Yeah, but they don't. She doesn't talk that much there. The other thing that I will say is in America, you hear all the horror stories too. Yep. What I found, again, I told you I didn't know any Filipinos there, but I got tied into 10, 20 relationships with my wife, Googling, Facebook, people around. And I met 20 people that were happily married to Filipinos there, younger, not...
I know a lot of them, married to younger and the same age too. I meet that too,
None of them turned. There was only one I know that got divorced, and that was because the guy was a jerk.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
So that I don't blame her one little bit. So I know there are things out there that happen. The younger Filipino, the attractive Filipino will, not want you over time or whatever. And those things have to be real. I'm sure that they are, but it wasn't what I experienced. I have 20 friends that I call friends now that are happily married and living there.
So you're in America, everything's going great. The three of you have this happy family. So why all of a sudden you decided to come to the Philippines?
Well,
how did that conversation even come up?
Yeah, again, I really didn't even think of it. This was 6 years ago, 2015. I kind of got tired of working. We went through the other processes because the K-1 is only the visa to go there. You have to get a green card. Yeah. That's another $1,000. You have to get an extended green card or removal of conditions, a 10-year green card, another $1,000. And the citizenship was $1,500 between the two of them also. So it meant a lot of money just getting them citizenship. But
was she have to take a test and all that stuff?
She did. She took the citizenship test, studied for that. We studied a lot. And,
was your daughter, they just automatically give it to her?
Yeah, it's automatic once the mother gets that done.
Wow, you went through a lot.
Definitely.
A lot.
I expected them to stay there forever, so I would definitely want them to be a citizen. One of the things also that was in our thing, I didn't want her to work. I didn't need her to work, so I wanted her to stay and take care of the child and take care of the house. She can do whatever else she wants to do, but I don't want...
Well, also, they've got the security now, like say something should happen to you, or, the Chinese have all these 200 boats here. Who knows what can happen with the Philippines if they decided for, financial reasons, security reasons. They had the freedom to go back to America, which is, it's a real security thing to have, So that's great.
Even while we were in America, something could happen to me at any time, I mean, I'm certainly no picture of health and stuff like that, but if she needed to go get a job, she needs a social security number and all this stuff, and you can have that with the green card, but it was just one more step. And now they can get my retirement, they can get whatever they need to. So
you're not old enough to collect Social Security?
No, I'm 55, so I'm not in that was one of the reasons that I decided to come to the Philippines. Maybe start a new life and maybe start a healthier life too. So We have the pool here, which is nice, so I'm in it all the time. So trying to get some exercise. But what really happened during those 5 or 6 years, it was tranquil and good for, you know, a long time. The first 3 years never even crossed my mind. Started getting tired of my job. Started watching you guys in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, is that a possibility? And it was, you know, I had a good job. It was paying a good salary, so I did have to pay my wife, you know, half of my assets during the divorce, so that collapsed a lot. But that 5 years, I got back on my feet, and you know, I had a house. I could sell it and have a bankroll of money there, and 401k in the future when I'm 59, and when I'm 62, start collecting. So I staged it. I looked at all the numbers. Can I afford this amount per month for the next 4 years? And I can, you know. I've overdone that since I've been here. I bought a car for $7,000 and the plane tickets were $4,000. So it's cost me $13,000 to get here. That's not the budget. If that continues next month, I got to go back in about 4 or 5 months. But it worked out, and we toyed with the idea, and everything was great, and it fit. And I'm pretty, you know, I would call anal about things like that. So I studied it a lot and looked at what would happen. I saw Dumageddon. I liked it. I like the fact that there are foreigners here, people that I can talk to, but I can get the real Filipino life also. It's 3 hours from her family, which is close enough to go visit, but not close enough to visit all the time. Yeah. So check that out, and then we decided to go. We decided before she got her citizenship. That was February of last year. So we got that. We should have got passports right after that, got on a plane and went, but then COVID happened. Yeah. So we had to go through all of that. And the Philippine government has changed the criteria at least 3 different times on how a foreigner can come. At the beginning, they locked it totally down. Then they said you had to get a visa from the embassy. I couldn't do that then because I didn't have the passports, because America's passports were closed, passport department. And that's the worst part of this. The Philippine government is just as bad as, the American government, just as bad as anything that you hear here. Right. Here's the story about that. Kea was in America for 5 years, right? Daughter of Nelma. Got a K-1 visa, yes? Got the green card, the extended green card, the citizenship. She's a citizen. We applied to get a passport, and the passport department demanded that we get a DNA test to prove that Nelma is her mother. Wow. After 5 years of being in America, they're going to come up with, you can't get a passport until you get a DNA test. It just was silly to me. We did that, did all of the things. We actually didn't do the DNA. We got our congressman to involved, and they said, no, we don't need to do that. But that took an extra amount of time. The dual citizenship, you have to get that back, because once she became a citizen, she's not a citizen of the Philippines anymore. She renounced her citizenship to swear an oath to America. Oh. She had to go back and get dual citizenship from the Philippines. Another step that took another 3 months to do. And again, COVID, stopped that. The embassy in D.C. is closed. Took more time, had to do it by mail, another 3 months for that. And then when we had everything, we're about to get on a plane, they changed it to where I could go as a balikbayan instead of a visa. So we booked the plane ticket. 2 weeks later, by the time that plane was here, they changed it back. And they did that to us 2 or 3 times after that. Wow. I finally ended up getting the visitor's visa, 9A visa for Philippines, for a year, got on the plane, got here in February. So wow. Quite the venture.
But you're happily married, man.
Yeah.
You've got a great relationship, and now that you're here and all that is over, what are your plans? Are you going to get a house, or what are you going to do?
Yeah. Again, I need to get into the culture here a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, driving is one thing.
Yeah.
We have 3 of us, right? And I don't want to drive on a scooter,
No.
so got a car, but the driving here is different.
Yeah.
I'm just getting used to that. I need to get used to that. I need to find out exactly where I want to go. We were going to stay at a resort in Bekong that was advertising a nice 2-bedroom place for $400 a month. And I was going to stay there, you know, for 3-4 months. But we looked at it and, you know, the man didn't have a 2-bedroom. And what he had was a disaster. So I called a couple of people here that I know on Facebook just from your vlogs and everything and asked if this place was available. It's the only place I knew at the time. And I needed to find something in 2 days. So I did. I called the owner here, talked to him, said, hey, can I come Tuesday? And he said, yeah, come. I didn't even look at the place. I was going to at least stay here for a month. I love it here. I mean, the people have been friendly. You've been friendly. Everybody is, you know, nice. They're nice to my wife. It's been very welcoming. I love the layout of it. So I think I'm going to stay here for a while and then find out. But we do plan on getting a house. Again, one of those things that they always say not to do with a Filipino. Oh, she'll steal your house and stuff like that. But
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of houses available because so many expats have left.
yeah,
You know, a lot of them. Like, you know, I found one myself just the other day, and I couldn't believe what I found, you know, and they are around here. So it's a good time to do that. But anyway, thank you so much, Jerry. I mean, there's so many guys out there that their dream of doing what you've done, and they have no idea how to go about it. They don't realize what they have to go through. But then when it's all said and done, you know, it's worth it. If it's the right girl, it's worth it. And there's things here that you can't find in other countries, you know. I mean, I found it. A lot of my friends, like you said, have found it too. So I'm so glad to hear that your story worked out well for you. And thanks for all the information and your time. I really appreciate it.
my pleasure, my pleasure. All right, that wasn't too bad.
That was excellent.